There have literally been moments where I almost feel like ripping my chest hairs out after hearing or looking at some of the new announcements from Hasbro. But I am happy to announce that after some of today's reveals, my chest hairs are still intact. They're still there. I'm happy to announce it. Not that anybody cares about my chest hairs, but you get where I'm going. There was a lot of good news. There was a lot of good stuff, and I wanted to kind of condense it. I'm not going to go through the entire event. I'll probably make separate videos for separate different announcements, but I really wanted to talk about the 3 Spider-Man centric Marvel Legend figures that are going to be released soon. The first one that I wanted to dive into was the Scarlet Spider, which is a figure that we did release in a retro carded packaging years ago, and this was really difficult to get just recently. I think the price dropped because there was a restock eventually available through certain retailers, but we are finally getting a new Scarlet Spider, and it's worth mentioning this isn't just a re-release and a new retro card. This is actually a brand new figure. Technically it is the same character, but we are getting the new body mold. We're getting the toe articulation. We're getting the double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. I'm sure that there's some butterfly joints hidden in somewhere underneath the jacket that he's wearing. And then the other big point of emphasis are the new accessories that he's getting. He is coming with 6 hands total. Granted, still not coming with any extra web accessories, but the fact that Hasbro's throwing in 6 hands for just a normal retail price, it's really nice of Hasbro to do something like that. Again, I'm not going to give him too much credit in regards to that because we are still missing a web accessory, but it did seem like Hasbro was trending towards giving us less and less accessories and still continuing to raise the price. Here it seems like the prices are going to stay pretty consistent, but we are going to get 6 hands total, so that's definitely going to give us more options, more variety in terms of our dynamic poses in our shelves. And then if you want to pick up an extra one, it is in that beautiful retro carded packaging for the animated series, so you can hang it on your wall, or you can just pick up one if you're not that greedy, I guess. Now, talking about the 2 other releases, we do have the Last Stand Spider-Man action figure, which, as I just said, the retro carded Scarlet Spider was just absolutely phenomenal. There are definitely some gripes, definitely some issues with the Last Stand Spider-Man. As you guys can just see, one of the bigger points of emphasis is going to be the lack of butterfly joints. Obviously, that to me is probably my favorite style of articulation. Even if it's a Hulk, even if it's a bigger figure, we see a lot of these like the reverse style butterfly joints that we see from a lot of the bigger figures. Even if they had to do something like that for this figure, so they didn't have to break up the mold on the front end of the whole suit, but the fact that it doesn't come with butterfly joints is definitely going to limit your articulation. No toe articulation, because he does have like those shoes. He doesn't have just like a suit on his feet, so again, kind of a little bit of a nitpick. It's going to definitely be limited in terms of articulation. And then he does come with the double jointed elbows and then double jointed knees, but I'm going to assume that because this particular figure is a little bit thicker, I don't know if the articulation is quite going to be there. So again, it's a thicker suit, it's a little bit bulkier, so it's kind of a trade-off. If you really want this particular suit or this particular figure, it's just going to come with a slightly more limited, or I shouldn't say slightly, considerably less articulation, so just keep that in mind. He also only comes with 4 hands total. I would have loved to see an alternate head sculpt. I know the web accessories aren't going to be included because they're trying to save money, they're trying to cut corners, but it would have been really nice to get a Peter Parker head sculpt. They already have a ton of these. They could have just given us a repaint on the head sculpt, so pretty disappointing with this particular figure, but it's kind of, I guess it's a part of the wave, so this one they decided to kind of skimp a little bit on for sure, and it's still at that regular retail price. So I think this is definitely probably the weaker one of the 3 Spider-Man centric figures that they decided to announce. The last figure that I wanted to touch on here was the retro carded Jack-O-Lantern figure that is supposed to be released. Same thing, you're getting a lot of the newer tech, and I think Hasbro is very well aware of a lot of the complaints from the customer fan base, which is the fact that even though they do have some of the newer technology, some of the pinless stuff For some unknown reason, there are still figures that are being released nowadays with the pins and some of the older articulation or some of the older body molds. With this particular figure, it does seem like it may be like some older pieces, but we are getting that pinless technology. We are still getting, it looks like, a butterfly cut around his shoulders, which is something that we've always wanted. We always love that butterfly articulation. He's coming with a disc, 4 hands total, and then one of those little grenades that he carries around. And then his head sculpt looks brilliant to me. Again, it looks like a brand new sculpted figure. I think the body may be reused and some of the arms may be reused, but it's a perfect opportunity for them to jump in on this figure. Not to mention, I would have actually preferred it to be released around this time, you know, Halloween time, but it's still going to be up for pre-order around this time, which I think a lot of people are in the mood for it. It does come with this flying disc as well. So another retro carded offering. You don't have to go out there, buy an entire wave and figure out what the build-a-figure figure is. You don't have to deal with all of that stuff, because let's be brutally honest, sometimes they release some of these build-a-figure figures that we have no interest in or are not even related to some of the figures. In this particular or these 3 particular figures, all of them are going to be retro carded, no build-a-figure pieces, so they can spend extra money on the accessories. And like I said, the Last Stand Spider-Man, I believe, is the only one that doesn't really come with enough accessories for me to jump in on it or be that excited about. But the other 2 figures come with enough accessories. They come with enough plastic to make that $25, $26 price tag and make a little bit of sense here. And as I said, it always gives you the option to buy multiples if you want to hang some up on your wall and then open some up and display them. But it's nice, as I said, and I'm going to kind of beat this to death, it's nice to see Hasbro continuing to give us the newer technology, the newer body molds, which is something that they haven't been doing recently. But it's nice. You get the pinless technology, you get some toe articulation with some of these figures, you get the extra double ab crunch, and the list goes on and on of really cool, neat upgrades that the Marvel Legends line has desperately been needing, especially considering the price point continues to climb. But that's just my personal take, my personal opinion. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about this little mini wave. I know there are 3 other retro carded figures that are supposed to be released around the same time, but I figure we'll cover those in another video. I just don't have the attention span nor the energy right now to be editing 20-minute videos, so I decided to kind of condense this, give it to you guys, and just want to hear back from you guys and let me know what your personal take is on these figures. Are you excited? Will you be pre-ordering them, or maybe you'll skip on them? Very curious to see what the community has to say. Thank you guys for tuning in. As I said, if you guys enjoy the video, you guys can always hit the like button, subscribe. It always helps the channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for tuning in.